Anyone who gets too close to him dies. Hello fellas, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're gonna do a movie recap of Radius. Warning, spoiler alert. We get introduced to a storm first, followed by a car crash, and a man regaining consciousness next to an overthrown car. A wounded and baffled man wakes up after a car accident in the beginning. He walks to the road after regaining consciousness to seek assistance. Soon after, a car approaches him, but he crashes off the road, and the female driver is discovered dead inside. He tries to call 911 to report the accident, but understands that he doesn't remember his name or where he is. He understands his name is Liam Hartwell after removing his wallet. As he stands there, perplexed, a crow appears and dies for no apparent reason. When he returns home, he hears on the news that a virus may be to blame for the suspicious deaths in the area. While returning to town, Liam passes by a roadside hotel where he discovers that everyone is also dead. Liam notices a nearby farmer and attempts to warn him to leave the area, but he doesn't understand and dies. As he approaches his home, they become skeptical of him but flee when the birds die in mysterious ways. He hides and refuses to appear or approach them when he learns about them. After learning about his truck from the crash site, 2 police officers arrive and begin knocking on the door. He tries to hide in the shed beyond his house after making a safe distance from him. He discovers that he, not the virus, is to blame for the deaths of people and animals who come into contact with him. Soon after, an amnesiac woman named Jane Doe nears his house and tries to talk to him, claiming to have been with him at the time of the crash. Liam tries to send her away, suspecting he might cause her death. But nothing happens, even when she knocks on the door. When he sees this, he agrees to let her into the house, but he continues to interrogate her about what has happened to her. She claims to have no recollection of anything and asks him to look around the house to see if she is related to him. They can't figure out what happened at the bridge, though Jane does recall throwing something into the water. They decide to leave when Liam recalls attempting to cross a bridge before the tragedy in a flashback. Liam talks about going to the crash site after struggling to find anything. They hear news regarding similar deaths in the car, but no one knows why. They find a large ring on the ground with everyone burned inside at the crash site. After the accident, they recall waking up in a circle. Liam finally tells her what happened after he awoke and that he is the cause of these mysterious deaths. Jane is terrified of him, fearing that he will also harm her. He tries to persuade her of his innocence, but she refuses to listen and continues to walk away. As they argue, a female police officer approaches them and recognizes him as Liam, as the cops were looking for him after the accident to return his truck. She becomes suspicious of him and Jane, but dies along with the rest of them as Jane walks away. These deaths don't occur while Jane is present, Liam realizes. He tries to tell her about it, but she doesn't believe him, so he uses a goat to prove his theory. He tells her that she was unknowingly stopping the deaths, which is why none of it happened when she got closer to him. He recommends informing the officials about his scenario, explaining that they will understand that it's not his fault. Jane disagrees with the plan and warns that if they don't believe him, he may kill multiple people at once. While they wait the scan results, news reports of the officer's death disclose that her daughter overheard her shouting Liam's name on the phone just moments before she died. After the chat, they decide to take him to a hospital and have him tested to determine if there's anything wrong with him. Liam has another flashback while conversing with the doctor, but he can't recall anything. Jane recalls passing by a board with posters regarding missing people and tossing in the water the same paper, but with her photo as the missing girl on it. Liam is already in the elevator when she arrives, and the door shuts before she can get in. She dashes down the stairwell to be as close to him as possible while he requests that everyone else leave as soon as the lift stops on the next floor. He locks himself in there until she re-enters with him on the ground level, and the two escape the hospital, relieved that no one has died. He tells everyone to escape from him. According to the news, Jane's real name is Rose Durwood, and she's the wife of Sam Durwood. In the shop, he finds a banner about a missing person with Jane's picture, but the name is Lily Grayson. He hurries to Sam's house to check on her and inquire about Liam when they arrive. Liam first objects, but he eventually agrees when she insists on accompanying her. In answer to the inquiry about the photo, Sam discovers she is her twin sister, who has been missing for a year. Jane is accused of being his helper because she was spotted with him, and the news keeps reporting on them. Liam feels annoyed but can't think of how to get out of the situation. She stormed off one day, disappointed that she would never see her sister again, and he expected her to return after some days, but she did not. Jane recalls feeling suicidal after being unable to locate her sister, but Liam kept her alive by offering to drive her away. Jane approaches him after recalling the incident, revealing that they've never met before the night of the accident and that they never even heard of each other. As Jane and Liam grow closer, Sam becomes enraged and confronts Jane, but she can't explain herself and claims that she has no memory of him. Liam notices a photograph on the wall and recalls trying to tell her about his remote cabin. He talks about going there till things calm down after discovering its location. He believes that staying back from the people will benefit them, but Sam refuses to let them leave without him. He offers them a place to hide at his shop, yet Liam refuses because the police might become suspicious of him. Jane tries to persuade him by saying that if he vanishes in the middle of everything, it will raise many questions, but he ignores her and walks away. Sam keeps a journal about her likes and dislikes, and how they met before getting married to help her remember about him and their relationship. They attempt to flee, but the cops arrive. Liam disagrees with his decision and knows that no one will believe him, so he starts asking Jane to accompany him before the cops arrive. Sam calls the cops after failing to persuade them to let him join, but quickly regrets his decision and asks them to leave. Jane advises notifying Sam about the incident and asking him to seek assistance from someone, but Liam objects, claiming that his phone may be tapped. Jane is perplexed as to why he's changed his opinion, but Liam concludes that he's called the cops. In the drive, Liam confides in her, saying that even if he contacts the authorities, they won't be able to find treatment for him. He believes he's pulling her along, but she tells him she's on his side. They get to the cabin, but Liam is uninterested. While she waits inside, he informs her about going for a walk. Jane soon uncovers his diary and learns he's a serial killer who has murdered young women, including her sister, Lily Grayson. Meanwhile, Liam remembers trying to kidnap and murder Lily before throwing her into the river. Jane remembers stepping out of the car and attempting to fight him, but both of them were struck by a cosmic anomaly that changed everything. Even though she had never mentioned her sister in their car conversation, she recalled him addressing her sister after driving her away from the bridge. After learning what happened to her sister, she confronts Liam, and he admits to killing her. She returns him to the cabin under duress, but a man and his two sons attack them. Both remember the night of the accident when Liam tried to kill her, but she figured it out and fought back, ending in a tragedy. She struggles at first, but as Liam begins to move away from her, she gives up, and the guy and his son are killed. When the other lad notices this, he shoots Jane before being murdered by Liam's aura. Liam rushes to her aid and transports her to the hospital, where she's admitted to the emergency room, isolating the two of them. After failing to discover a way out, he shot himself to save the lives of others. And that's the end. Guys, that's all we've got for you today. Don't hesitate to like the video and leave a comment letting us know how much you enjoyed it. Until then, we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.